Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Team Chat Podcast, a weekly video game show where we talk about games, the ones we love, the ones we hate, and everything in between. New episodes come out on Tuesdays, 9 a.m. Central Time, and you can listen to those on podcast services around the World Wide Web, such as Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. I got something I got to fix with iHeartRadio, a little bit of problem with the feed there. So if you are an iHeartRadio listener, I'm aware of the issue, taking care of it. Don't you worry, be back up in no time. But you can also listen to us on Spotify as well, and watch a video version of each episode on YouTube. All links for all that are in the description below. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also check out our Instagram because we've been putting up some good content on there, like and when hanging up some new stuff on our studio wall here.
It looks so great. It looks really nice.
We got
now.
So much new stuff, and we rearranged a little bit. But Mogan, we have video proof of Mogan hitting my finger with a hammer. So it's,
it really
it's
was on accident because I was like, "Oh, I'm going to hit your finger, ha ha ha," and then we tried
Straight
it, and I did.
Which for a moment, because you had just said it, I thought you did it on purpose to be funny.
It was not. It was an accident.
But no, we got some new stuff up here. We got this little, we got this new piece of art that features Mario and Luigi being chased by Boba Fett and a Goomba and an AT-ST Walker from Star Wars. Move the Bastion over here to be next to Mogan. We have this amazing hand-painted
original
artwork of Donkey Kong himself, painted by none other than the talented Samantha Janae, my beautiful bride. She is talented as fuck, and she makes cool shit like this. So this has been added to the wall as well. And then we got a little watcher up here from Horizon Zero Dawn.
You also notice that Yoshi and Zenyatta are now holding hands.
Best friends forever,
yeah, BFFs.
And
they're
then we got
so
this
peaceful.
This is actually an original Nintendo Power magazine advertising Super Star Wars for the NES.
It's a sick cover. Like,
very
that's
nice.
a cool looking
it's
cover.
An awesome combination.
What year was that?
All right, I got to look at it.
It looks very 80s. It's got to be the 80s.
Oh, yeah, I know it's 80s. Ah, crap.
86, that's my guess.
I don't see it on here.
Oh, it's probably on the back. Quick, turn it around. It's a glass case.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Oh, my gosh. Is that Santa Claus?
Oh, we're looking for the Super NES then. If it's showing. Yeah, so Super Star Wars. So it's Star Wars for the SNES, not the NES.
Oh, okay. Is that 86? Was I right?
It's somewhere around there. I'll have to check it. But no, so we got that. Yeah, we got that original Nintendo Power magazine. That was a half-price books find, and I was pretty proud.
Oh,
of that
very nice. Good old HPB.
Oh yeah, they got good stuff there. But anyway, also. You can follow our Discord channel, which the link is for that below as well. And that leads into this next part, which we're a completely listener-supported show. And if you would like to support us because you really enjoy what we're creating for you each and every week, you can head over to patreon.com/teamchatpodcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you can support the show and in return get cool perks like getting the episodes early before their general Tuesday release and access to a private channel on our Discord server, the Rogues Gallery, where you and your fellow patrons can interact with us in the channel on there, and it's a lot of fun. So check it out. Good discussion over in there lately.
I was wrong. It's 92.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was an early 80s one.
It looks like it. Whatever. The point is.
But regardless, it's still Nintendo Power with Super Star Wars NES, so it's a great combination of video games and Star Wars. Two things I love
Really?
dearly.
Those are your two favorite things?
Two favorite things.
And then Sam.
No, Sam's still above. But it's those things of physical material things. There we go. There we go. That's all it is. But before we get into today's topic, we do have to make another announcement. Remember, everyone, by now, the contest has gone live in your attempt to win a vinyl copy. Might have to bring it in a little bit so it's in focus over here. We can shut down this a little bit. But a copy of The Last of Us soundtrack Volume 2. So it's music from the DLC Left Behind on vinyl from Mondo. So check it out. You can hit us up, the link down there. The contest will run through May 4th. So click on that link. Enter in our giveaway to try to win this really amazing soundtrack. So
it's too bad it's not a Star Wars soundtrack to line up with May the 4th.
Wouldn't that work?
Ah, Jerrett, come on.
I'm not giving away my Star Wars soundtracks on vinyl, though. So those are prized possessions right there. But anyway, so go enter and all that. But then now it is time to get a little bit of news and find out what games are coming out soon.
Indeed, it is a
in our moment with Mogan.
Yeah, it is a release-packed month, as we already discussed last week, and that trend continues. So, as of this episode's air date on April 26th, we have Anno 1800 for PC. That is spelled A-N-N-O, Anno 1800. There's also Final Fantasy X and X-2 HD Remaster for Xbox One and the Switch, of all things.
All right.
I know that Bro Mogan is really excited about that because 10 is one of his favorites. I adore 10 myself. 10 too, it's okay. It's all right. I do like the fashion. That's also April 16th. Tanks Meet Zombies for the Switch, also coming out April 16. Wasteland 2 for the Switch, April 16. World War Z, a lot of zombie stuff all of a sudden. For PS4, Xbox One, and PC, April 16th. And then coming very soon on April 17th, we have Truber Brook for the PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. That rings a bell, but I can't remember why.
It's not ringing a bell in my head.
I think I've seen stuff about it, and it is cool, maybe. I don't know. I'd have to look more into it. Yeah, how's that for great commentary? And then, of course, one thing that everybody should be really excited about, Cuphead, making its way to the Switch on April 18th. And then very shortly after that, Our World is Ended, presumably because of Cuphead's difficulty on April 18th. But Our World is Ended comes out for PS4 April 19. And that rounds out the near future for April.
Boom. So a couple of other stories, though, that did break within the last week that I wanted to talk about and bring up is finally the long-awaited feature that PlayStation users have been longing for. The ability to change your online ID is upon us.
And by long-awaited, we mean since they started having PSNs.
Yeah.
You've never been able to change it.
Nope, never have been able to.
Finally can.
Finally can. So, I mean, obviously, like they announced when they first initially announced that this was going to be a thing, they said we're anticipating some issues with some things not syncing up correctly, and they have run into some of those issues. So they did, though, on the PlayStation blog. You can head over there. They have a full FAQ all about this feature where you can learn all about the different things, like how many times you can change your name, can you revert back to an old name if you start having issues, what games don't work, which games do work. All those different things are all outlined in this blog article, so it's a really good read. You should go check that out. But I, for one, am excited.
You should be.
I'm also, as I tweeted and talked about on our Discord, I'm very nervous because I'm terrible at picking names. And so I hate my current name, Dogtown_Warrior. Don't like it. Don't like it at all. And I want to change it.
It's pretty bad.
It is.
Yeah.
And so I want to change it to something that makes more sense and is way more applicable to me and who I am as a person now. But that's very difficult to do for me, to narrow down all the different options. So it's going to take a long time of reflection and thought to be able to glean this. I reached out for support from the patrons or just our Discord in general, just asking for some different suggestions of what I could possibly be.
My personal favorite nomination from one of the listeners was Cat City Soldier.
Yes.
It's arguably the best one.
It's pretty good. I laughed really hard when I watched it.
It actually took me a minute. I was like, that's a terrible name. And then I was like, oh my God, it's
like
so funny.
Of Dogtown Warrior. So,
it's hysterical.
Yeah, it's hysterical. For those of you who have not heard the story before, I'll make it brief, but I was trying to think of this name of my PSN when I got it, and I was watching at the time the movie Lords of Dogtown, which is about skaters. And I've never skated a day in my life, and for some reason I combined that with Warrior and was like, boom, there we go, that's an amazing name. Quickly regretted it later, and I've been stuck with it ever since. You
weren't even playing like Tony Hawk's Pro whatever. Come on.
I know. None of it. It made literally no sense at all.
Jerrett.
So, but yeah, so I want to change it really bad. But it's one of those things I'm interested to see what, as more people use this and see what issues do come up, because I definitely, not that I necessarily see myself really going back and replaying things on the PS3 or like the PS2 or Vita and things like that, which they did say like they don't really work with those games as much.
Interesting.
You can again read up on it on the official blog article, but still, I can't decide if at this point it's worth it, depending also especially on what backward compatibility will look like in the future. Like I'm thinking I might honestly wait until the PS5 comes out, and I know if that's going to be a thing. Because if I can just get all the games that I have on the PS3, like re-download them, like with the Xbox One, where you can do the backwards compatibility, where you just stick the disc in and it downloads a compatible version. If I can do that with my PS3 games or older games, then I don't care if it's going to screw up things from that. So, at that point, fine, it happens, but I can still play the games, and it's not going to mess up anything or lose anything from that I've collected or progressed through those games. So I'm excited about it because yes, I want to change the name, and it's one of those things. I've had the name there, and that was the one place I couldn't change it, so I just kept it uniform across everything. So it'll be a wonderful breath of fresh air whenever I can get it. So looking forward to that one a lot. The second bit of news is that as of today, of this recording actually, which is in fact April 11th, a teased image for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was leaked through an Amazon, as reported by Wario64 on Twitter. And I gotta say, it's a beautiful piece of art.
I saw the image. It didn't mean anything to me.
Didn't really necessarily mean anything to me in his story because I don't know who the person in the trailer was.
In my Twitter feed, I just, as you would say, kept scrolling.
Just scrolled right on by.
But that's just me.
Yeah. But so if you want to not be spoiled what this is, stop listening for a few seconds. But if you don't care about being spoiled what it is, or you want to go look for it for yourself, here's what it looked like. It was a snowy landscape. There was a crashed Star Destroyer that looked like it had been deteriorated / picked through quite a bit in the background. But in the foreground was a Jedi with his lightsaber lit and a little robot floating in front of him. Or, well, we don't know if he's a Jedi. Could be, because it's Fallen Order. So is this a Jedi on the run? I don't know.
Does that make him not a Jedi?
No, it doesn't make him not a Jedi, but it's just like, is he what is called in the Star Wars universe a gray Jedi, like one who's not on the light or the dark side. So like there's a lot of mystery still about this game that we don't know about because we haven't seen anything official. Now, caveat to this though, we are recording on April 11th. This Saturday at Star Wars Celebration in Chicago, they are having a panel on Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Very cool.
And they're going to show the trailer there, which I'm assuming is when we'll also get a release date for this game, which I personally right now am predicting is going to be late September, early October, because they're already saying it's coming out this year. We just don't know the specific window.
I was going to say I strongly doubted.
So I bet it's late September,
date.
like last 2 weeks of September or the first 2 weeks of October.
Watch it be May 4th.
If that happened, I will lose my shit because that would be amazing.
They're just going to pull a Nintendo and be like, and it's out right now.
Which I would immediately run to the fastest retailer
gosh.
because I would need that on physical copy so I could install it faster than my internet could download it and be playing that puppy immediately.
Exactly.
So I'm very excited about that. Now, also, if there were any updates from Star Wars Celebration about this game, check to my Twitter. I might actually try. I'm going to be out of town at my sister's wedding, this coming weekend.
But which is more important, right? Star Wars or your sister's wedding?
I have to say my sister's wedding. I stumbled over my words, but I mean my sister's wedding. Obviously, I'm very excited for you, Peyton. It's going to be a great day. But anyway, so I'm very excited about that game. But I will be tweeting out my reactions, or even hopefully maybe if I can pull it off a reaction video to the trailer.
How funny would it be like if you were clearly in like the pews of your sister's wedding?
That would be hilarious.
Very quietly having a reaction. You're just like,
oh my God, I'm going to do that though.
That
Ruin her day,
funny.
but we'll get so many likes and views.
You just need a really big hat that you can hide behind.
Yeah,
that would make sense. You're from Texas, right?
No, I'm from Oklahoma.
You live in Texas.
I live in
Same
Texas.
thing.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, super hyped for Jedi Star Wars Fallen Order. Or Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
I'm excited.
I keep wanting to call
you.
it Fallen Jedi.
Well, let's just cut to the chase. Fallen Jedi.
No, I got to say it correct. I got to keep it real. All right, but we're going to move on to our topic of today, which we're talking about unsung heroes. And I'm pretty excited about this one because this is kind of an interesting one. It's similar, I think, in a little bit to our non-playable characters episodes that we've done.
Yeah.
Where we talk about some of our favorite side characters, different things that you interact with in games. But this one, I think, is a different hint to it because we're looking at ones who maybe had some great contribution that has just been overlooked, or people don't give them enough credit for what they do contribute to the story, do contribute to the main characters and the world at large. So I have a couple good picks, one that I'm like really excited about. And then we also have some from our patrons as well, which we definitely need.
Do we want to start with the patron ones? Because they're pretty good.
Let's start with half of them.
Half
and then
of
we'll
them?
close
I
with a second
don't know where
half.
the half point is.
Interspace in between these two. Do we want to pull it up on the Discord real quick so we can, or I'll pull it up on here while you're doing that. But no, let's just do them all right now. We're going to kick things off with our patrons. We reached out to them on our Rogues Gallery channel on Discord and asked them for some of their submissions into this category as well. So we're going to kick it off with some of those. Mogan, read us that first one.
All right, so we're going to start us off with Riven's commentary. So he says, maybe it's just me. I didn't actually know about this until way later when someone mentioned it offhandedly, but I got the biggest one of all. Satoru Iwata, who cut his salary in half so employees wouldn't have to be fired when the Wii U tanked.
Pretty impressive.
And I feel like if you're not a fan of Nintendo, or that you don't even... Not that you're not a fan of Nintendo, but that you don't keep up with the Nintendo news.
Follow it really closely.
Really is the way that it should be phrased. Because you could play every Yoshi game out there. But if you're not actively, on Tumblr or Twitter or somewhere out there trolling for Nintendo conspiracy theories, or even real facts like this one is, you may not know that that's true. The head of Nintendo cut his salary massively so that when the Wii U was doing terribly, his own employees wouldn't have to be fired. And I feel like in comparison to other highly publicized, similar closings of studios that we've seen in the past couple of years. That's the kind of personal responsibility that I wish we would see a lot more of.
Yes, I agree.
Definitely an unsung hero in that case. Much celebrated for everything else that he has ever done, but in this specific
that
case,
fits to this category of what we're talking about
Exactly.
today. So let's see. The next one we had was Ark, who said that Yoshi is an unsung hero, and she included a hilarious gif.
It's really funny.
But she said that Yoshi, whenever Mario uses him to get an extra jump to a ledge, she posted this gif of Mario doing it and then like showing mad Yoshi as he's falling to his death, but then Mario like flipping him off.
Yeah, Mario like does a flip and then flips him off as
it's hilarious.
It's
But true,
really funny.
Yoshi, he is. Without him, Mario would not be able to make some of those jumps.
I found out through attempting to find the perfect reaction to that GIF that Discord, or at least our Discord channel, doesn't have a dinosaur emoji.
Yeah, the closest is this like...
It's an alligator.
An alligator? Yeah, so we need to make an emoji
I was
for that.
furious.
Or at least a Yoshi one even.
Yeah, right? What's up with that? I actually didn't type in Yoshi. There might be a Yoshi. Don't look. But then, moving right along, we have Animal Crossing Queen, a.k.a. friend of the show, Fuchsia. So she says, I was going to say Tom Nook, but I figured that would be typical of me, and also not everyone's into hearing my rambles about Tom Nook. So I will help her and say that Tom Nook is an unsung hero.
Well, and Ark brought him up too, so I was going to still include him.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, he's the true hero of Animal Crossing in that he will loan you as much money as you need. He doesn't do a credit check. He's just like, oh, you need some money? Yeah, here, take all these bells. And he'll help you build your house with, again, no collateral. And he's like, you can pay back the money whenever you want. Oh, there's no interest. Yeah, sure, I'll just be here when you get back. And it's like, oh my God,
You're
Tom.
kind, generous man.
Thomas Nook.
Raccoon.
What? Yeah, Tanuki? I'm just kidding.
Sure.
He's a raccoon. But what a kind soul, and truly an unsung hero.
Truly, truly. Then we had Bro Mogan coming in saying the single biggest unsung hero in all of gaming has to be Luigi. Even when he finally gets his own game, Luigi's Mansion, there's an entire button dedicated to him just yelling, Mario! My boy just can't get out of Mario's shadow.
That's true. So even though, I was going to say Yoshi again, even though Luigi has made his way into a few of his own games, and obviously many, many Mario games throughout the years, they're almost never his own games.
Very true.
And even when they are, he still can't seem to catch a break. Poor Luigi. And then to close us out, we have Destroya. He says, how about Ralph Baer for creating the first video game console, the Brown Box, which would become the Magnavox Odyssey. He's mentioned in various video game history books, but he's not exactly in the public consciousness. And I have no idea who this dude is, so I clearly am super out of the loop on my video juego history.
But I mean, so basically, he is, like Destroy said, he created what it was, in creating that, he actually, in creating the first video game console, like he came over from Germany to escape, the Nazis and all that stuff in World War II and set up in there and was then through, I'm not particularly full in all the knowledge about it, so I don't want to spout inaccuracies. But still, yes, he was very much a founding father of video games. And when Destroyer was talking about several video game books that he's history of, I actually read one that talked about him quite a bit, and it's called Bit by Bit, How Video Games Transformed Our World by Andrew Irvin. So you can see this on here. But I read this a little while ago, and it was a really great, not a super big read, but still a nice deep dive onto some of the older games and original systems that Ralph Baer and company had their hands in. So it was, so yes, definitely would recommend looking more into his life. But now that we've completed our patron submissions, it's time to jump into our own. Do you want to kick it off, or should I kick it off?
I think I'll kick us off.
Go for it.
I think I've got a pretty good one. It's also one of the more recent ones. Well, actually, but all of mine are kind of recent. Anyways, who cares? So I want to nominate for my first unsung hero, the noble construction worker, Hudson from Breath of the Wild.
All right.
Do you know who Hudson is?
I have not met Hudson
Have you
yet.
heard them sing the tales of his greatness?
I have not.
Of
but
course
the only
not.
other character that
because
I have,
he's unsung.
That's true. I did just run into Beetle for the first time.
Oh my God, really?
Yes.
You're such a scrub. Okay.
I told you, it's the first time.
Oh, I should have picked a Beetle. What was I thinking?
But we've talked about Beetle in a long ago episode.
Beetle.
But tell me about this Hudson.
I love
Why
Beetle.
is he an unsung hero?
So Hudson is truly an unsung hero when you think about it in the broader context. So, of course, the world of Breath of the Wild is kind of this semi-dystopian future where humanity has kind of collapsed as a functioning civilization that's really connected. And it's just sort of these spread out random towns all over the place. Like you have your dirt paths with merchants, for example, like Beetle, who go back and forth. But you don't really get the sense that there's a functioning government, for example.
Right.
They don't really have those kinds of resources. And there aren't that many people, period. Like, there aren't that many occupants in the world of Breath of the Wild. So it seems mind-blowing to me that a humble construction worker like Hudson would agree and then follow through on his given task of going out into the wilderness and creating a town from scratch. So the lead up to this is that when Link gets to Hateno Village, I think that may have been in the episode where we talked about video game worlds we want to live in, or maybe like where you want to retire.
I think just where we want to live in.
Where we want to live.
That was a long time ago.
Yes, that was a long time ago. And I think maybe me and Zach both said Hateno Village because it's the best place in Breath of the Wild. It's so peaceful.
I don't know, I kind of like Kakariko Village.
Kakariko
Village, sorry.
Oh my God. Anyways, so
Just go over it.
when you get to Hateno, you find a like really worn down house, and it's not looking good. It's basically like a shack that needs a lot of work. And you as Link can actually purchase it from construction company Bolson. I think it's Bolson Construction Company. I hope I'm right about that. I can't. All of their names end in Son, S-O-N.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's Bolson Construction. But anyways, if you purchase the house, some of the other construction workers, like the boss and one other guy, and Hudson will all like get started on working on your house. And once it's more or less built, Bolson then sends Hudson away. He's like, okay, go out there and build some other shit. And Hudson's like, okay, I'll do it. Like sure, he's employed still, but he's just out there on his own in a land full of creatures that could kill him at any time. He has no armor. He's got like his hammer, I guess, but he's not a warrior. He's like kind of a pudgy little construction worker.
Yeah.
And somehow, against all odds, he makes his way to this beautiful little peninsula out over a lake, and he goes, this is the spot. I'm going to build a town right here. And of course, he has Link help him along the way. He needs materials.
Right.
He needs some stuff. But the actual work, that's all Hudson. When you bring him wood, when you bring him steel or gems or whatever it is that he needs, you leave. And you're like, bye, Hudson. Good luck, buddy. And he's like, cool. I'm going to make functioning town out of this. And he goes out of his way to build beautiful homes for people, set up little shop areas for them out in the marketplace, and then little by little, as more people hear of the greatness of Hudson's town, they move in. There's even a wedding at the end. Spoiler alert, sorry. Because it's an ongoing side quest, basically.
Okay.
But I just always like to think back on the noble Hudson out in the wilds of Breath of the Wild. It's really redundant, and I'm sad that I said it now that I have. But he's just out there doing his thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's an everyday unsung hero that deserves, I don't know, a really, really big town that someday is even larger than his peninsula, and that even is maybe under the lake, like he manages to get underwater like the Sora do.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I have ideas, Hudson. Give me a call. So yeah, my first one is Hudson.
From Breath of the Wild.
Well,
there we go. So my first one is another character that I definitely don't think gets enough praise for what he does and how he helps out the main character in this story over a period of really years, I suppose.
Can I guess?
Sure.
Darth Vader.
No.
He helps Luke by helping him build character.
Realizing the true Jedi within himself.
Exactly.
Well, yes, I guess. But technically that falls into movies and it's got to be, video games, I guess. But still, no. So my pick is the character Uncle from Red Dead Redemption.
Oh, the first one.
The first one.
I know
He's
nothing
in the
about
second
Red
one
Dead.
as well, which gives me a little bit more background for why I think Uncle is an unsung hero. So in Red Dead Redemption, when you meet him, if I'm remembering correctly, you don't meet him until late into the late game when, spoilers for a really old game, you meet up again with John Marston's family. So when you find out from Red Dead Redemption 2 that Uncle and John Marston were both members of the Dutch Vanderland gang that you are a part of when you're playing through Red Dead Redemption 2 as Arthur Morgan. You interact with the other gang members a lot as you wander around the camp and all this different stuff, and you can talk to Uncle and really see what it's like in the camp through him. And he is often belittled, picked on by a lot of people in the camp, including yourself,
no.
because they kind of claim to be like, call him like an old drunk, an old man, blah, blah, blah. So he gets picked on a lot and really kind of shit on by the Van der Linde gang as a whole. But then when you jump to now, I haven't finished Red Dead Redemption 2 yet, so I don't know how his arc necessarily progresses much more in the story or how, if this is fleshed out a little bit more. But still, when you meet him in Red Dead Redemption, he is still with John Marston. And what he's, but not with John Marston in like your companion throughout the game, but he's been helping John, or he's been helping to take care of John's wife and young son. So
what a nice guy.
Exactly. Even though he got put through all this shit, really, as in Red Dead Redemption 2 and all the belittling when he was part of the gang, he still stuck it out with John Marston. That's what I'm interested to see in Red Dead Redemption 2, is if there is like a storyline that shows them growing closer together, or maybe even if it's even resolved why Uncle goes with John. But what are you going to say? Prediction!
Uncle burns down the camp after one too many jibes.
Oh, no.
And then he meets up with that wife and kid, and they have a fun time. I don't know. But yeah, that camp's getting burned down.
But so, why? I don't know if it's going to go that dark. I mean, the game is probably going to get dark, but I don't know if it's going to
be dark. It's going to be jubilant because Uncle is finally free.
I don't know. But
they're going to play Freddie Mercury's Born Free in the background. It's going to be beautiful.
But anyway, but why I think he's an unsung hero is not only does he take it upon himself to help John Marston take care of his family when John has to go and hunt down other members of the Van der Linde gang in Red Dead Redemption. At the very end of the game, and again, spoilers for an old game, but when the government agents betray or double-cross John Marston and attack him at his home once he's already done what they needed for him and he's returned back to his farm with his family and uncle, the government agents start coming after him and a big shootout occurs. In the shootout, Uncle is there fighting right next to John Marston, helping while his wife and son get to safety and so we can get him into the barn and all this stuff, and winds up getting shot and killed. So, not only did he, put up with all the stuff when they were part of the Van der Linde gang and part of that family, he, made out with John Marston, put his faith in John and, and was there for when John needed him most, when he couldn't be with his family, and he winds up paying the ultimate sacrifice protecting him.
Poor
so I think
Uncle.
Uncle deserves to be an unsung hero
That poor
of the
guy.
Red Dead series.
Good for him.
I know.
Also, I don't know why I said Born Free. That's a completely different song. It's Break Free.
I want to break free. Yeah.
I want to break free.
Which I had in my head saying Born Free, and I was like,
in my head, I was like, I know I'm thinking of the right song, but I'm not, like, the words are not correct. So, sorry, Freddie, my bad.
I think he'll forgive you.
I think he'll forgive me. He seems a forgiving soul.
So what is your second pick?
So I'm realizing now that I think about it, I might just have like a soft spot in my heart for like pudgy wanderers.
Okay.
Because like I'm really like thinking it out and I'm like, there's a lot of similarities here. So my first one being Hudson. Mm-hmm. He's a dude that goes out into the world on his own, makes his way, more or less, he is employed. And my next one is similar, but I feel like even more of a pioneer in terms of how harsh the environment he has to survive and how bleak his earnings must be.
Okay.
I can't imagine that his business is doing super well. Can you guess?
Well, I mean, we already mentioned Beetle.
I doubt. So he is kind of a merchant.
Okay.
And actually, like, hang on to that name, like Beetle. Like, think about what could have to do with maybe bugs and merchants.
Oh, it's got to be somebody from Hollow Knight.
It's got to be somebody from Hollow Knight.
But I'm blanking on the names.
I'm not sure if you would have made it far enough to him yet.
Is it the map dude?
It's Cornifer,
okay,
yeah!
Yes, I have.
Awesome.
I have met Cornifer.
So Cornifer is actually Cornifer and his wife Iselda. Mm-hmm. So they are kind of a team, but Cornifer is the one that you interact with the most. So imagine the world of Hollow Knight. So if you've never played it, it's of course a 2D side-scroller game. The environment, though, is incredibly rich and detailed and dark. Mm-hmm. So, of course, all of the denizens of Hollow Knight are actually bugs. Even the knight himself is based on some sort of bug, and all of the creatures you encounter are modeled after some real-life creature. I actually don't know what Cornifer is. He might be a cricket. I think him and Iselda are crickets, maybe. but he's a really
Yeah.
fat cricket, like
I've
real
zoomed
grande.
kind of beetle, but yeah, he's a big guy.
He's like a portly dude. And so when you first roll into this tiny town, and this is very early game, so I don't feel bad about spoilers. When you first roll into Dirtmouth, the first town that you officially get to in Hollow Knight, there's like one old guy, a shop, and then the map store. And the map store is occupied, of course, by Cornifer and Iselda. But throughout the world of Hollow Knight, which is shockingly expansive for being a 2D game, in every new area that you encounter, if you don't have the map for that area, you are boned.
Right.
Because it is such, people don't really give as much credence to the complexity of 2D maps as they do to necessarily 3D ones. But I feel like it is so much harder to orient yourself without being able to look in all directions. So when you're trying to get from point A to point B and you kind of know where you're going but not really, in a game like Hollow Knight, if you take a wrong turn and you're at low health and you really need to get to like a save point or a bench and heal up, if you go down the wrong way and encounter an enemy that you know is going to kill you, you're screwed. Yeah. You're definitely going to die. Yeah, you're just totally boned. And that's why you need heroes, true heroes like Cornifer. Because again, no armor. He appears to not be able to fight even a little. He's down there with like a backpack, a bunch of pencils and pens, and like a crap ton of paper, to the extent that like you follow paper trails to find Cornifer in every different map location. Which I think is a great
mechanic. Can we talk about that for a second?
First of all, it's a great mechanic. You can also sometimes hear him singing before you meet him. Because somehow, even in this dark, depressing world of Hollow Knight, Cornifer is like an upbeat guy. Yeah. Like when you run into him, he's always humming and singing while he's making his maps, and he's like, "Oh, how fancy meeting you here, good fellow." It's only when you get to some of the truly dangerous levels that Cornifer is like, "Oh my god, like even I'm kind of shaking in my boots here. Yeah. I don't like this either. Take this map so that I can leave and go back to my beautiful wife." And then, of course, speaking of his beautiful wife, when you get back up to the surface, you can purchase additional materials from Iselda, and you do get, so this is a very slight spoiler, maybe it's mostly just lore at this point, you can get internal thoughts from Iselda that at one point, apparently, she herself was a warrior. But she mans this shop because she loves Cornifer, and she thinks to herself, I'm glad I put down my nail, which in the world of Hollow Knight is her sword. She's like, I'm glad I laid down my sword for this quiet life for Cornifer. I'm really happy here. And it's like,
is it that much of a quiet life if Cornifer's risking his life to map out these dangerous areas?
It's quiet for her. She gets to have a chill time at the shop, which really is super backwards. Cornifer cannot fight. Why isn't Iselda down there? She should at least go with him. But again, somebody has to keep the shop open, because when you're one customer, when the night rolls up and he's like, yes, I need to purchase additional maps and a bunch of map pins so that I can find my way around. She's like, cool, take all this crap, whatever. Take this quill so that you can draw stuff. And when they're eventually out of stuff, and once you have eventually gotten all of the maps available, if you go back to the map store, you finally see Cornifer in it, sleeping happily in his bunk in the background. Aww. It's like a rest well earned, my dude. Yes. How would anyone get around? How would the knight make his way? How would anyone know anything about Hollow Knight without the heroism of Cornifer?
Very true.
What an honorable
An excellent nomination.
An excellent nomination.
Unsung hero.
Indeed.
Cornifer.
And what a fun name.
I know, too. It is. It really is. So my second pick, and this one is the one that I was really excited about, because it's a character, even though I've talked about the game.
Darth Vader.
You're close.
Oh my God, Boba Fett?
No.
Wait, shit. Okay. I was gonna say. I was gonna say Anakin, and then I remembered that is Darth Vader.
So I doubt you're gonna guess the character.
Dang it!
But you could probably guess the game, though.
Samuel L. Jackson.
That's a character.
Dark Forces. Okay. Yes.
But Dark Forces is the game, and the character I'm going to talk about, while not who you may think, Kyle Katarn. No, I am going to talk about
Qui-Gon Jinn.
No.
Dang it!
His trusty partner and co-pilot and friend and eventual lover, Jan Ors.
Jan Ors?
Yes. So this is kind of a deep cut. Again, if you're a fan, unless you're a fan of like the Dark Forces series or the Jedi Knight series, and where Jan and both Kyle play a vital role. But so my initial thought when I was researching for this topic was, Jan Orr's awesome because, without her, Kyle couldn't get to his missions and all this stuff because he brings her on because of how great of a partner and pilot she is to fly their ship, the Moldy Crow, to all the different...
Moldy Crow?
I know, it's a really great title, right?
His name is like Kyle?
Kyle Katarn.
Kyle the Jedi. Yeah. Wow.
But he's not a Jedi in Dark Forces. He doesn't know about his true Force potential yet. So anyway, she's awesome for that reason alone. She's a badass pilot, gets him out of dangerous, sticky situations all the time. But here's the thing, and why Jan Orr is an unsung hero. And I really uncovered this as I did more of my research, and I think she deserves a bigger spotlight than she gets. Because she, way before the events of Dark Forces, was a member of the Special Forces for the planet Alderaan, which was the one destroyed in A New Hope by the Death Star.
I did at least know
she's
that
got
much.
a big chip on her shoulder towards the Empire for that reason alone. But she was able to, throughout the course of her being a Special Forces soldier, meets Kyle Katarn when he was a member of the Empire on one of her missions. But then later, on another time, she interacts with him again in part of a mission where she relays to him that his father was actually murdered by the Empire. So it's a lot of like a little bit of backstory here. But that event, her meeting him those 2 times and telling him about the murder of his father at the hands of the Empire is what forces Kyle Katarn to defect from the Empire, becoming a rogue mercenary / member of the Rebel Alliance.
Oh my God.
Which allows for him to be picked for these missions that take place in the Dark Forces games.
Whoa.
So basically, without Jan Orr's and her influence on Kyle Katarn and getting him to leave the Empire, there would be no Kyle Katarn, a.k.a. no Dark Forces games, a.k.a. granted not canon anymore since Disney did away with it all, but the Death Star plans would not have been stolen, leading to the defeat of the Empire. So she's integral to a lot of parts of the Star Wars universe, not only what's included in the video games, and because of that, Jan Orr's is an unsung hero of Dark Forces.
What a badass.
Right?
Just like... I don't know. Who's that other old guy? Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes.
I was struggling to find Jedi names.
But there we go. She is a hero. Uncle's a hero.
Cornifer's
a hero.
Hudson's
and
a hero.
Hudson's a hero. The great unsung heroes of video games, Volume 1. We'll surely revisit this topic as we play more games.
Cornifer and Zelda.
That's right. Cornifer.
Can't forget her.
Zelda. But before we go, we do have to do our soundtrack spotlight for this week, which we're bringing it back from one of the old games that we mentioned in this episode, Star Wars Dark Forces. We're going to do the main theme, which is a very old retro style version, a retro rendition is a better word, of John Williams' classic theme. But the main music of Dark Forces was composed by Clint Bajakian. So, Dark Forces main theme coming at you after the close. But until next time, I'm one of your hosts, Jerrett Wilson, joined by Rachel Mogan.
Adios.
We'll see you all next week for a brand new episode on Tuesday.